Hey guys, Justin Morgan here, and today I'm talking about calisthenics bodybuilding, and there's a couple issues that I think make this a very difficult topic, or make it a very difficult concept to try to play out, to try to work out. And not that there's anything wrong with some of those movements, but we're going to break them down and talk about them. Real quick, before I get into that, I actually spent a little bit of time trying to implement some of these things. And much like with weightlifting, I found that if you try to do calisthenics only, you're trying to build muscle with that it really needs to be a high frequency thing. You need to be doing them often. With lifts, a lot of people run into problems that they're trying to do like body part splits, where they only work their chest this day, they only work their legs this day, they work arms on another day, and they only work them once a week, and they make very slow progress, or slower than what they would do if they did those lifts much more often. So I'm really fond of the 5x5 type lifting programs that I've mentioned in the past, where you're squatting 3 times a week, you're doing a pressing movement 3 times a week, and you're doing a pulling movement 3 times a week. Heavy compound movements: squat, bench press, deadlift, overhead press, and rows. So, and I think that in finding a good program to build muscle on with calisthenics only, that you need to implement those same ideas and same concepts. You need to be working out at least 3 times a week. You need to be doing each of the various kinds of lifts, so a pulling movement, a pressing movement, and a full body leg squatting movement. Those can be like let's talk about how some of the problems that you're going to run into. One, in the beginning, the lifts are going to be too difficult. To do a pull-up, if you've never done a pull-up, is going to be too difficult. So you're going to have to do some kind of like negative, where you actually pull yourself up and then you slowly let yourself down, and then maybe you jump up and you slowly let yourself down to start out with, and then you'll work up. Maybe you'll start out doing pull-ups, doing one, and then you'll move into the negatives. Same with the pressing movements. Most people can do some push-ups, but maybe you can't. Maybe you got to start with the wall. You just lean against the wall and you push yourself out, and maybe you get more and more declined as you go, until finally you're actually horizontal and you're actually pushing up off the floor. Whatever. With squats, I get a lot of people when I train people, because I actually am a personal trainer, and they have a hard time with this squatting motion. So I'm actually standing on boxes here, so I just have them sit in this position right here. I'll actually get up on my bench. So I just have them sit here like this, and I kind of touch them, on the shoulders. And the idea is that you improve your balance. As you're doing that, you kind of get out of balance, and you gotta kind of hold yourself. So sometimes that's where people have to begin with. The idea of squatting for them is not a legitimate concept. So they start out with just their body weight sitting in that bottom squat motion, and a lot of people, they lack the mobility to get into that. So you got to start somewhere. That's not a bad place if that's what you have to do. So the problems that we run into, though, is that there's no way to continually get stronger. You end up having to do either extremely high reps, or you have to add weight somehow. So the push-up, in reality, is a more effective. It engages more muscle, total body muscle fibers, than the bench press. The bench press is isolating your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. So when you do a push-up, though, and you flip over, you're actually engaging your core. There's more lat activation. Maybe your legs to a small extent. But there's much more total body activation of muscle fibers when doing a push-up compared to a bench press. The only downside is that it becomes more difficult to add weight to a push-up, whereas a bench press is very easy to progressively get stronger, to progressively add 5 pounds every time you make your goal. So in that way, the bench press becomes a much more effective movement. If you can find ways to do push-ups and progressively get stronger doing that, which guys do, they do like they come down, they move over, and they do, these things. They do clapping push-ups where they jump off the ground and come back down and do that. All the different types of dips that you can do, or you can add weight to those movements. You can find ways to progressively add weight, to progressively get stronger. And the same thing with, you substitute out like overhead press and you do handstand push-ups once you're able to get to that. Again, for a lot of people, that's going to be an impossible thing. I don't know of a good way to do that. Oh, I know the pipe push-ups, where people will actually stand kind of like this, and they'll stand on it. Instead of doing a handstand, they'll start out like this, and they actually come down and push up like that. So, maybe that's kind of an alternative to do, I don't know. So, those are all those movements, though. The same rules still apply. But unfortunately for calisthenics specifically, there is no replacement for the squat. You can only go so far with pistol squats and with the other types of squatting movements that you can do, and you just can't add any more weight. And so that is why I personally think that the squat is an extremely important movement. It's more effective probably in building total body mass, muscle tissue, than any other movement that we have available to us. So I think that if all that you have available is calisthenics, then you're going to overdevelop your upper body to some extent. You're not going to get as much development as if you were able to lift weights and progressively and systematically add weight to it. And you're not going to develop your legs very well. They're going to be pretty small. So, I don't really have any good recommendations. Frequency, work out often if that's all you have available, and do your best to try to work your legs. But without the addition of weight, then that becomes a very difficult thing. So that is the issues that I would have with using calisthenics as the only method that you have to build up your body, is primarily looking at the legs, that you have no way to replicate a barbell squat. So that is it for today. You guys take it easy, and if you found that beneficial, and I will talk to you next time.